It's your season. I
It's your boy, Jules Judah. I got Tiffany. We got a message.
We all know some things happen for a reason. Don't let go, soon you'll be inside your new season. Just get ready, don't hesitate, for this is your day. Rejoice and be glad. There's a season. Time to laugh. Time to cry.
For everything, there is a season. Time to laugh, time to shine. Welcome tonight, a little bit different. It is indeed Begin Again launch weekend. It's coming up. I want to encourage you to share this as soon as you see it. I'm Dr. Ray Johnson. I'm your host tonight. Just want somebody to know that seasons indeed do change. That was Tiffany Boignet, a really old school song. Tonight, we're going to spend just a few minutes talking about the launching of Begin Again University. It is the pre-launch, and so I wanted to spend a few minutes to kind of talk with us tonight in lieu of our Bible study. Sometimes we need chapter and verse, but then there are other times where we need moments to be able to make sense of our realities in a practical way. And so to that end, we're getting ready to prepare for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the launching of Begin Again University. It is our relationship and leadership coaching platform where we'll spend some time helping people make sense of their realities in the moments of their new season. And even before I get in tonight, let me just acknowledge a few of you who are on your way in, making your way into the room. God bless you. Good to see you. Good to see you all who are tuning in on tonight. So listen, I'm excited tonight. I'm going to dive right in because we won't be on too long tonight. You know, beginning again is never easy. There are pitfalls and false platforms and even procrastination. All of those things can be barriers that can keep us from beginning to take the next steps to begin to start over again in whatever area of life we may find ourselves in. So whether that's parenting, some trauma or trouble in regards to your children, starting a new business opportunity that may be coming your way, going back to school, changing careers, or even beginning in ministry or business, either one of those can become difficult where pitfalls, false platforms, and procrastination can make a difference in your world. But I want you to know that the key ingredient in all of that is definitely you. You are the key ingredient in regards to all of that. And so with that being understood, we're launching this weekend, like I said, Begin Again University. And I want to make sure that we spend some time talking with you, because if you haven't registered yet, I do need you to go to beginagain.tv. That's beginagain.tv. We got just a few more slots, a few more spaces left. But tonight, I brought a special guest tonight that I want you to see tonight that is here. I want to bring her right on in. Great friend of mine. Tonight's guest is Kelly Jennings. God bless you, Sister Kelly, First Lady. Good to see you on tonight. And so she's an author, speaker, mindset coach, marketplace ministry, a real estate agent, done a little bit of that, and also has served right along her husband, great friend of mine, Pastor Larry Jennings, and their ministry, Freedom to Life Ministries. But they have really done well in navigating into the marketplace. And so I brought her tonight to talk to us a little bit about beginning again. And so I don't know if I'm going to say Prophet Jennings, Apostle Jennings, First Lady Jennings, real estate entrepreneur Jennings. I mean, you wear all those different hats. And so welcome tonight to the pre-launch. She's going to be with us on Saturday. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, and thank you again, Dr. Ray Johnson. You're prophesying to me because I'm not yet a real estate agent, but I have been looking into being a property owner, more than one property, being a property investor. So definitely I received that.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Absolutely. Well, you and I, we've known each other for a very long time. Being in the military, retired from the Air Force, and retired there in the Hampton Roads area in Virginia, and just really allowing God to just transition us from life. Been married to my wonderful husband, Larry, for almost, it'll be 27 years come August, and been through a lot. When I got out of the military, I was what we could console, pretty much healthy and ready to go. But I encountered rheumatoid arthritis. And as it took my body through these changes, I had to have hip replacements in both hips within 6 months of each other. And during that time, it made me realize what was my purpose and destiny on life. And as me and my husband transitioned to Georgia, we had no intentions of really being pastors, starting a church. But sometimes God has to disrupt you, and he has to get you frustrated where you're at to cause you to go to where you're called to be. And we started our ministry. And when I got here to Georgia is when I realized I wasn't just called to the church, I was also called to the marketplace. And that's where God began to really hone me in and being a life coach. And I'm more of a mindset coach as well as a prophetic teacher, where I help those who are trained as prophets to grow in their development, and but mainly as an entrepreneur. And we know entrepreneurs don't have one job. They don't have one title. They enter a lot of things. And so as I got here to Georgia, feeling lonely, unsure of where I was called to be, I began to start writing books, and I became an author, wrote 4 books in 2017. And now I've launched into another series of books, which I think I'm on track to do at least 6 to 7 books this year. Because, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's all right. I actually want to go there. I actually want to go there with you being an author. I'm going to put this one up on the screen real quickly. She's written a book called From Here I Go. We're going to talk a little bit about that on Saturday, but just give them a little bit of a teaser about, what From Here I Go is all about. I'm going to actually put it up here on the screen and let people know where they can get it from and that sort of thing. Go right ahead.
Yeah, well, as I was in this place where I was just saying, God, it's time for another shift. And sometimes you can sense the shift, and God will begin to start telling you it's time to let this go. It's time to let that go. It's time to leave this behind. And so as I was doing that, I started writing. And the first title that came to my head was From Here I Go. And God began to give me understanding of course, Abram and Apostle Paul. And he taught me through the book. And I'm telling you, anytime you write a book, it should be therapeutic for you. And it brought me through some things where I had to break away from some old habits of thinking, some old ways of behaving. Even I had to go through a process of forgiveness. But I had to make up in my mind, from here, this place right here is where I'm going. This new start in life is no looking back, this position that I am. And so I even recall the story of Jesus having a conversation with Peter. And he said, who do men say I am? And Peter finally said, everybody's saying you this, but to me, you are the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, upon this rock, from here, I'll build. And so when we decide we're going to move, we have to find that truth. And that truth should come from the word of God. And when you discover your truth in the word of God, you build on that and you go. You cannot wait for other people to validate you and determine when should you move and how you should move. But you got to say, from here I go. I don't look back anymore.
Wait. You give it out so much so fast. Wait a minute. You just said that once you find your truth in the word of God, it is from there that you go. That's so much different from, we have this notion of living my truth. But if your truth is not based on the word, then it's not real truth. And you really can't start until you find yourself in him. Is that essentially where you are?
Absolutely.
What you're saying?
Because Jesus was delayed on the disciples' understanding of who he was. And he said, until you get clear on who I am, I can't build. I cannot build if you don't believe that I am the son of the living God. I can't build my church. And so we have to understand that we have to have a truth that says this is the truth. This is the living truth. I stand on nothing but the word, and that, takes you into purpose and core values, right? Because if you don't have something to stand on, my mother said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
My goodness.
And so you have to be able to say, this is the truth of God's word. And it's unfortunate that the word has not been taught in a way where it's been taught based on truth. It's been taught based on manipulation. It's been taught on how you can, twist the scriptures, and we got the itching ears where even now we know that many people are wanting to be deceived. But the truth is the only thing you can stand on. And when you have that truth, when you have that God said, when God told you from here, you need to go. I don't care you got to leave behind. Leave the pain, leave the hurt, leave the rejection, leave the failures, leave all that behind. Don't keep looking back, because Paul had that. And when he was on the road to Damascus, he thought he was on his way to fulfilling what he thought was purpose. And God had to have a conversation, says, why are you kicking against the prick? And he then realized, wait a minute. When he came to his truth, he was immediately converted. And he had to convince the others, I am also an apostle.
Now, I did. You're going so well, so good. She's gonna give some of this on Saturday, but let me just add a little tidbit in here, and then I want you to just comment on this. This isn't a part of our layout of questions, but we're flowing already in it already. We're talking tonight pre-launch for Begin Again University, happening this weekend, taking place Friday night the 28th at 7:30, Saturday the 29th at 11 a.m. Kelly Jennings will be in the building with us, and then perhaps they may be in the house on Sunday morning at 11, and then we come back together at 6. You talked about really, once you find your truth in him, you can't wait for the validation of other people. And you're using Paul as a backdrop. Would you just speak to that some more? Because perhaps somebody's watching and listening to us tonight on whatever platform that you're finding you're watching us on, and somebody may need to know that you can't wait for smoke signals and signs. And let's just put it in our vernacular as believers and apostolic types. You can't wait for somebody's thus saith the Lord before you bust a move and do what God is saying for you to do. Just talk to me a little bit about that process of how you process through that.
Yeah. So we're accountable to the purpose that God has placed on our lives. And in Jeremiah, it tells us before he formed us, before he places in a mother's womb, he had a conversation with us. He did not have a conversation with our pastor. He didn't have a conversation with our leader. Now, I want to preface this because I'm not trying to make anyone be renegades. We have put too much emphasis on what man says. And yet they tell us, seek God, hear God for yourself. But when we hear God for ourselves, they say, did your pastor okay that? Did the man of God agree with that? Well, if I'm hearing from God, and one thing I've done as a prophet, and people call me spiritual mothers, when they come to me and say, God said, I say, I'll support you. Only time will tell, right?
Right. Only time will tell. Right.
So we have to put too much emphasis on, we put man ahead of God. And what God said, whom I've called, I've chosen, and I've qualified. But then we put all these limitations. Okay, what kind of degree do you have? How many years have you been in the ministry? How many people have you served? Who's they say, who's tracking you? Where's your origin? Who's your overseer? Who's your apostle? Who's your and if we really had to track anyone, we still can't figure out where Elijah came from. He just showed up. He just showed up
because he's a Tishbite and he don't have no lineage, no line connected to the Levitical priesthood. He's not even a part of the Benjamite family like Samuel. He just showed up. My God, today
he just showed up. And so when we have to know we got a God said,
could it be that in beginning again, God is just looking for some people to just show up?
Just show up.
My God, today.
He's saying, look, it's time to show up. Many of the ones that he's calling to begin again are the ones who have been in the cave. They're the ones who have been observing and say, God, I want to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they've been in the cave for too long and they've gotten comfortable in that place.
Mm-hmm.
They're comfortable being second. They're comfortable being the servant leaders. I'll serve you. I'll do whatever you want me to do. But God says, I'm bringing you forward now. And then some of them are comfortable in their pain. You know, they've had a failed marriage, they have failed relationship, they had a failed ministry, and they're like, I can't go again. But God is saying, begin again, start again. You know, just like Jesus in his conversation with the fishermen, they have been toiling all night. They were tired, but they put all their stuff away. And Jesus said, come on, let's do this again. They're like, God, we done did it before. He says, no, right where you are, drop your net again.
Yeah.
And sometimes the reason why it didn't work before is because sometimes we were ahead of our time. And I'm getting into my other book. But
yeah,
but
we're there. Let me just put that one up because I want you to speak to that one just for a minute. Go right ahead. Stepping into your now.
Stepping into your now is a prelude, or it's a follow-up from Here I Go, because From Here I Go is talking about leaving from where you are and getting to that place called there. You know when you're there. You know when you have come to a place of total confidence. This is me, God. I hear God talking all day and night. He keeps me up at night with this vision, with this dream. And so when you get there, the process of getting there should make you ready to step into your now. See, if you're traveling with God along the way, you shouldn't get there and still have questions about, God, what are you doing? Life should have taken you through enough ups and downs where you learned from your problems, you healed from it, you forgot your past, you forgave. Now you're at the place where you can step into your now. Our now is now. We've been living in our next for too long. I'll do it next year. I'll do it next week. I'm next in line. We have songs talk about you're next in line. We've gotten comfortable with being next, but God says it's now time. It's your appointed time. It's your Kairos time to begin to go forward in what God says. Because you know, Ray, you and I, we're not getting younger.
No.
And yet we keep putting
you
off.
see this gray on my chin?
Mine's is hidden. You know? But we keep putting off that we got more time.
No, you don't.
And we realize that purpose keeps crying out to us.
Let me just talk to you a little bit because I want to dive right in. Like I said already, tonight we're spending some time. This is pre-launch for Begin Again University. And we're going to get started right on Friday night on the 28th at 7:30 p.m. Saturday morning, the 29th at 11 a.m. More from Kelly Jennings. And then Sunday, perhaps Sunday morning, Sunday night, we will definitely be back in the building, streaming on the platforms that you're watching me on right now, wherever you're watching me on at. I need somebody to put in the chat for me the web address so that people can register. This rich information you're getting right now is absolutely, it's going to be free. Yeah. Free. Whom the Son has set free is free indeed. I say this is free. So beginagain.tv. Somebody put it inside of the chat for me. Beginagain.tv, whatever platform you're watching on, because we'll be back with some more of this in the launching of Begin Again University, which is our leadership and relationship development coaching platform launching this weekend. And so Kelly Jennings and her husband, Pastor Larry Jennings, they're coming all the way from Atlanta. We'll be headed this way in the morning. You started to talk a little bit about purpose, and I want to just kind of jump right in on that real quickly as time is getting away from us, because I wanted you to speak to a few of these things. So how important is it to define and maintain your purpose and mission? And if you could put that in the context of how so many people who are called to the marketplace, fivefold ministry, apostolic, evangelistic, prophetic, pastoral, teacher types, who are called to the marketplace with their gift. But you mentioned to us earlier, well, what did your apostle or what did your bishop or what did your so-and-so have to say about that? How important is it for you to maintain your purpose and maintain your vision?
Well, you know, you have to really understand that everyone is not called to the four walls of the church. And right there. The reason why we are fighting over the pulpit is because most people don't know their purpose. When they say your gift will make room for you, we're trying to all fit on the pulpit. And we're trying to fit ourselves within that fivefold ministry. I'm an apostle, prophet, evangelist, but you could be an administrator, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer. And there's no place for a doctor except in the spirit realm, in the body of believers. You have to be outside the church. Now, if we understood that well, we would promote our marketplace anointed leaders, because if they go and do the work of the ministry in the places they're called, they will bring back the finances to keep money in the storehouse. Because there are some who are simply called to the church. We got some pastors who know their full call is, I'm just called to teach the gospel, to preach the gospel, to raise up the saints and send them out. Well, they need to be sourced. They need to have money. They can't be accessible to you 24 hours a day, and yet they can't get paid, or you can't take care of them. Paul,
you preaching good now. Stay right there. Let me bring you on in. Let me bring you on in closer. Work right there. Work right there.
Yeah, because see, what we think is, I'm not going to give the pastor no money, but you want the pastor there 24 hours a day for you. And if he's committed to that, he knows that's his purpose and call. You can call him in the midnight hours. Okay, if he can't have the time or the rest to go to work on a daily basis, somebody has to take care of the man or woman of God. And we should have no problem doing that. But what we have gotten now is people who have gone to the marketplace without understanding their purpose.
Yeah.
They have allowed themselves to be compromised.
Yeah.
And they've taken on the spirit of greed. And now they're just trying to get more and more and more. And they've left the church. They've left the body. And now the church is hungry and starving, which should have never been that way. If we're going to pattern ourselves behind New Testament church, we saw in the Bible where there was never lack, that they made sure that the house was taken care of. And so when we teach it right, we can receive it right. But when we only teach about prosperity for you, that your money that you earn is not just for you. It is for the building of the kingdom. It is for funding those who you have said, I need you to be there for me 24 hours a day. So I need, So see, what we do is wear the pastors out. Unfortunately, they have to be there 24 hours a day. Then they have to go to work. And Paul even said, look, we can't do this. We need somebody to take care of the people so we can spend time seeking God for you. And so we have to understand that my marketplace ministry is to help fund the kingdom.
And part of the role of those of us who are fivefold, that are established and set in the house, that part of our job also is to equip people to send them out to the marketplace. Because remember, the Great Commission is to go into all the world. And so that world, that word cosmos, has to do with the systems of the world and its order, arranging things, and now introducing the kingdom inside of that context, to whether you are a doctor, lawyer, whether you are a legislator, an educator, whether you're somebody who works in custodial care, whether you're a teacher, and whether you're a staff and line person at the corporate conglomerate, that you are to now manifest the kingdom in that environment as a servant leader with kingdom eyes and ears. But all too often, like you said, we get to fighting over the sacred space that we believe of the pulpit area, and we don't send people to what I call Lance Wall News 7 mountains. We don't send them into the marketplace equipped with kingdom principles and priorities and precepts set inside of them. Really, the church should be the greatest influence in any locale.
Yes,
we should be the greatest influence in any locale, and it can happen if we get rid of Pareto principle, but that's a whole nother show. It can happen if we get rid of that, but that's a whole nother one. Let me go to the second question, Kelly, because time getting away. Why is it so important to remain consistent and purpose-driven without compromise concerning your core values whenever you've got to begin again? Why is it so important?
You have to establish your non-negotiables. You have to say, these are my boundaries. That
That's
even when
good.
you go into the marketplace, you have to say, there are certain things I'm not going to do. There are certain things I'm not going to say. I'm not going to submit to certain things. I'm going to hold a standard that's important, because I'm out here for a purpose. I'm here to win souls to the kingdom. And I can't do it if I'm looking like the very people that are trying to find an out. They're looking at the world saying, is there any outlet here? And if we go in, we're supposed to not be like them. We're supposed to help them. And so if you're not confident of your purpose, you will not stay purpose driven. You will get sidetracked. You'll start doing like the world does. You'll see when something fails, you'll try something new because, hey, this is working. And so we got churches that don't know purpose either, because they do gimmicks. When this doesn't work, we call in the high price whoever to draw the crowd, but we're not confident of our purpose. We can't stay with it long enough to see it happen, because we're ready for immediate gratification. And so when you know purpose will find a way. It doesn't matter who gives you a platform. When you are called to do something, it will find its way through all the chaos, all the chaotic things that's going on. But you have to stick with your purpose long enough. And a lot of these new age churches say, you stick with something 6 months. If it doesn't work, you move on. No, sometimes it may take 5-10 years before what God said about what you're called to do, whether it's in the church or in the marketplace, that it manifests. And so we have people who are called to be entrepreneurs, but because they don't see a return in 5 months, they're like, I don't know what I'm called to do. So they try to come back to the church, and they're like a fish out of water, because you're not called to here. You're not called to be a preacher in the church. You're called to be a preacher in the marketplace.
My goodness.
And when we get that right, we won't be fighting, and we won't be comparing. Like you mentioned about the custodian, when he knows his purpose, he's not going to fight over the teacher who's walking on his wet floors. He knows that's my purpose, is to keep the floor shining. So I'm going to do it with excellence. And he's not going to be mad because the teachers are getting credit for stuff they didn't do, because he's over in his lane, handling his business, minding his business, because he understands purpose.
My goodness, in here. This is so rich, so good. Listen, you got to make sure you get with us this weekend. I want to hasten, because we're winding right on down on time tonight. And so make sure that you get in here with us. Kelly Jennings, author of From Here I Go, and then also her next book she's got coming out, Stepping Into Your Now. Make sure that you get in the house over the weekend, because it is going to be absolutely phenomenal with what we're receiving even right now. Kelly, let me just get to this last question, and then we'll do some housekeeping stuff. So you talked about staying in your purpose, being consistent, setting your standards, and then you have this thought about mental capacity. And so I wanted to put this up on the screen here. It says, build the mental capacity by developing a growth mindset.
Yes.
And whether it's the marketplace, ministry, relationships, parenting, all of those possess a new way of thinking. So now, how do we build that mindset in order to make the transition for some people who are really called to the marketplace, but they're in ministry? And then I want you to speak to those who are in the marketplace, who really should be in the ministry or should be doing both. What needs to happen up here in the head for them in order to make the shift and make the adjustment?
Well, the fact is there are dual calls and dual anointings, and we have to understand, to have that capacity, we got to know that we're graced. God will grace us for those different entities. And we know as women, all of us carry those different hats, right? Yeah. But the fact is, to have that mental capacity to develop a growth mindset, you have to realize that failure is an option, but quitting isn't.
Say that one more time. Wait. That's so good. Give me that one more time. Do it again.
Failure is an option, but quitting isn't.
Unpack
and see,
that.
You only fail when you stop trying to begin again.
That's
when you just give up, you failed. But failure is part of a growth mindset, that you learn from your failures and you do better next time. A fixed mindset is fixated on their failures, which they always think the results are always going to be the same no matter how much I try. And so when you have a growth mindset, you develop the capacity to do it again. You develop the capacity to start again. I don't care how many times you failed. I don't care how bad it seemed. I don't care all the mistakes you made. You have to develop the capacity. And I always use Paul, Apostle Paul, as he developed the capacity to not let anyone hold him to his past. He decided, I'm beginning again. And this time, I'm going to go in the right direction. So when you have the capacity, whether you're in the marketplace, you got to understand when we go into the marketplace, we're like sheep being sent in among wolves. So you're not going to get treated in the marketplace like you should get treated in the church, right? The church should love you, coddle you, help you, support you. But in the marketplace, it's dog eat dog world. They're out for their own gain, and they will chop your neck off if you don't know how to walk in the wisdom of God and not give up when it seems like everybody's stabbing you in your back. Yeah. Because the marketplace is not an easy, it's very territorial. So you have to understand, how am I going to enter into the marketplace the right way? And it takes time. It takes planning. You can't just jump in it, even though you know you're called. You have to be a strategist, and you have to build the mindset to know how to handle, like God, and this will be my last thing. God raised up the 3 Hebrew boys in Daniel. He said, I'm sending you in, and you've got to give the mental capacity to learn their language. So they had to play the game. They had to do what they had to do to maneuver, because when they went through their test and trial, they drew more to the kingdom had they not been obedient to God, right? So we got to understand, some of the things we do, we're going to suffer, but you got to have the mental capacity to know, I'm here for a purpose. I'm here. You don't go into your workplace knowing you're called and talk about your supervisor. You're out of purpose when you do that. If God sent you there, you got to be the one to set the example, so other men will see Christ in you and say, I want to serve the God that you serve.
This is so rich and so good. Tonight, we're talking about the pre-launch for Begin Again University, happening and taking place Friday night, April the 28th, right at 7:30 p.m., April 29th at 11 a.m., and then again Sunday evening at 6 p.m. And we might even get into a little bit of this on Sunday morning, right there. And the Walk of Dominion early on, right there at 10 a.m. If you have not registered, need you to do it. Go to www.beginagain.tv. This is my good friend Kelly Jennings, author from Here I Go. She is going to be in the house, speaker and mindset coach. I just wanted to give a little bit of this of her on tonight, so that you could tell somebody, listen, I heard her tonight. Instead of Bible study, Dr. Johnson gave a little bit of what will be taking place all weekend long. And so, Kelly, many people don't realize this is the launching of our leadership and relationship development coaching platform. And so I've been continuing to get these questions in the inboxes. And so I've been answering these like this so that people can understand, why enroll in Begin Again University? Why should I join? Well, I say these 4 things: mentoring, modeling. And so I'm right there with you. You talk about mindset coach. I'm talking about mind molding, shaping the way that you think. And then some of us, we just need the motivation to get up from right where we are so that we can truly indeed begin again. And some begin to ask, okay, what do I receive in the Begin Again leadership development, coaching and mentoring group? And here are a couple of things. I just want to run them down real quick. Leadership and organizational development skills. Relationship readiness. Some people are not ready to date again. They're not ready to be married again. And then some are just in need. They're ready, but they need some repair, healing. And then some need renewal, different perspective about this.
That's it.
And then there's specialized coaching and mentoring, proprietary 3-quarter model that I have in the area of spiritual, relational, and relationship intelligence with increased capacity in each of these areas. Because you can know what to do, and you can know how to do it. But if you don't have the capacity to be able to have the wherewithal to get right in there and do it, you can really be wasting your time. Monthly trainings that are happening take place, weekly lunch and learns, private Facebook community, all of it happening. The launch out and to get started will be free, taking place, but I need you to register. You cannot see Kelly Jennings and Pastor Larry Jennings on Saturday if you don't register, because we have some food for everybody. We want to make sure we have enough. Make sure you go to beginagain.tv and make sure that you register to jump right on in there with us. All of this happening and taking place right there at 119 29th Street in the city of Newport News, right there at the top left. I don't want you to miss it, virtual and in person, so that you're able to watch right on the platform you're watching right now. But I want you to be in the building, be in the house. Make sure that you get in, as the young people say. I'm going to get in right there where I fit in. You the last word. Go ahead and share anything else you want to share.
I'm just excited. I know this is going to be an awesome launch, and I'm believing God that there's going to be some shifting. People are going to begin again, and they're going to walk into their new things that God has had in store for them. Amen.
Right. We look forward to seeing you. Hope we see you very, very soon. Take care. God bless. Kelly Jennings, Larry Jennings will be in the building. Don't miss it.